call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Iasmin Lucindo takes on Angela Hill this Saturday at UFC Fight Night. And I think this is going to be a good fight. You know, Iasmin Lucindo, kind of a rising prospect in the division, only 23 years old, 17-6, so 23 fights for a 23-year-old is just crazy. Taking on Angela Hill, who's 40 years old, 18-14, so tons of fights as well. Been in the UFC for a long time, fought the who's who in the division, so I think this is going to be a really good scrap between these two. Iasmin Lucindo, like I said, 23 years old. She's 5'3" with a 66-inch reach. Turned pro at the age of 14. Southpaw striker, throws with really bad intentions. Throws kind of really wide hooks with power. Moves laterally well. Feints constantly. Throws good kicks. She's a judo black belt. Likes to get her takedowns from kind of the body lock entries along the cage in the clinch. Cardio is a concern though. In a few of her fights, in her last fight against Lemos, looked like she was starting to kind of fizzle out as that fight progressed. But you know, great chin, can take a punch, and you know, pretty well rounded, all around pretty well rounded. Angela Hill, 40 years old, 5'3" with a 65.5-inch reach, 18-14, so pretty identical in terms of physical stats. Angela Hill, like I said, tons of experience. The crafty veteran, you know, crispy striking. I think she was like a Muay Thai champion before she transitioned to MMA. So, you know, she's got a good jab, good feints, pushes forward, throwing a lot of volume, good pace, and good cardio. You know, usually putting decent pressure on her opponents. Can go, you know, 3 hard rounds consistently. Like I said, tons of experience. You look at her resume, she's fought, you know, Verna Jandaroba, Amanda Lemos, Tisha Pennington, Michelle Watterson, beat Denise Gomez recently, beat Ketlin Souza last February, lost to Tabitha Ricci, Luma Lukbumi, Claudia Gadelia, Yanjo Nan. So she's fought, you know, Jessica Andrade, Rose Namajunas back in the day. So she's fought, you know, some of the best, you know, fighters that we have in women's MMA. Kind of a 50-50 record, but a lot of these decisions, split decisions, you could argue went her way. I don't know what it is about Angela Hill, but she tends to be on the wrong side of the judges' scorecards a lot of times. So 75% takedown defense, which I think is going to suit her well in this one. Had decent takedown defense against Juana Pinheiro, kind of made her. She was kind of panic shooting and got caught with that guillotine, and then she had good takedown defense against Denise Gomez, good scrambles and everything. So I'm gonna go with Angela Hill in this one. You know, I can't get past her experience, her composure in fights, and Lucindo, she hasn't really beat anyone. You know, she beat Marina Rodriguez. That was a split decision. She just kind of out-grappled her, which is pretty easy to do. Rodriguez doesn't always have the best takedown defense. Beat Karolina Kowalkiewicz by decision a year ago, but you know, Kowalkiewicz, she's 39, and I think Angela Hill beats her. Beat Polyana Viana, you know, but then, you know, when she takes a step up in competition, Amanda Lemos, she got out-grappled, couldn't get her takedowns going. Iasmin Lucindo lost a decision to her, and Iasmin Lucindo hasn't been looking the greatest. You know, we thought she was going to be a huge prospect, but lost to Ketlin Souza by finish, lost to Denise Gomez, so I don't know how I rate that win. And then outside of that, you know, some regional wins, but then she's got a lot of losses on the regional scene, and I know she was young, but still, that's a lot of losses. She is still very young, not even in her prime yet. But taking on Angela Hill, who's over her, you know, out of her prime, but has tons of experience. There's nothing that Iasmin Lucindo is going to bring to the table that Angela Hill hasn't seen before. And you know, Iasmin Lucindo, her cardio is a concern. She was looking tired in the Marina Rodriguez fight, in the Amanda Lemos fight. She started to slow down, and Hill's just going to be bringing a high pace, a lot of volume, like she did against Luana Pinheiro. Lucindo likes to work in the clinch, but you know, Hill is good there. You know, she's good there. She's strong. She's got that Muay Thai background. She's got a good takedown defense there. She was losing the clinch battle against Ricci, but Ricci's strong. I think she's stronger than Lucindo. She's a judo black belt, so I'm willing to excuse that. But I feel like Lucindo, she gets takedowns on lesser competition, but you know, she struggles against stronger fighters, you know, like Lemos and, you know, these more highly skilled top tier fighters. Like I said, Hill's going to have the experience advantage. I think she'll be able to defend the takedowns. If she does get taken down, I think she'll be able to scramble back up. But I think she'll be strong enough to kind of negate Lucindo's body lock and clinch work. And I think she'll just be more technical and more active on the feet. You know, I think she's she's going to be putting a lot of volume, crispy, straight punches. Lucindo just kind of moves side to side and looks to throw, big punches. And I think that's just not going to be enough to find the mark against Angela Hill, who's, the crafty veteran. And I think she's just a little bit better than Lucindo at this point in her career. Lucindo, she keeps going the way that she's going and developing. I think she could be a real problem. But I'm going to go with Angela Hill to get this one done by decision. Next.